All right. Happy Saturday night, everybody. Thanks for jumping on. Let's get to it, huh? Valerie R., Pamela Figment, Hetty Franklin, or Hedie, Lucinda, T Carp 76. You seem new, T Carp. Have you been with us before? Karen, Karin, Trostowski. Did I get that right, Karen? Karen Trostowski? Sandra, David, Karen, Randy, MB, Gonzo Gato, Kat, Lee, Tracy, Diane Z, Jane, Donna, Carol, Gary Law. Hello, Gary Law. That looks like a new name too. Tracy, Figment. Did I say Figment already? CH, Peter Sikowski, Lee, Demian, Marie. Let's see, Carolyn, MJ, Sharon. All right, let's scroll some more. I'm happy you're here, Demian. Lucinda, Dawn, Trish. Hello, Trish and Team Justice. Time for a community meeting, a Saturday night community meeting. Carrie, Vicky. Hello, Doll. I don't know. Doll is like the best handle because I get to say hello, Doll, and I sound like something from the '40s, maybe from a production of Guys and Dolls. Hello, Doll. Jammy, Adrian. Let's see, Donna. Natasha, Judine, hello Judine, Maggie, Carol, Lady Slipper, Orchid, Dr. Joe, Orrin, Kelly, Lauren, Pamela, Elizabeth, Cherry Spencer Stark from Georgia, Catherine, Carolyn, Dorothy, Peter Sobey in the house. The Sobes is here. He is our Team Justice editor extraordinaire. I'm waiting to see if my Team Justice Chief of Staff is with us, Kathleen Zaya, because I have a little something for her that I want to show you all. Bill, Mara Glory, Dale, Deborah, Lori. Deborah, Fairfax, Virginia. You're just up the road from me. Put all 5 of my daughters through Fairfax County Public Schools. Lori, Carol, Koshin, Farad. Yeah, this is, Dahl says this news cycle is nasty on steroids, with steroids. Trisha, Richard, Just Dave. Hello, Just Dave. Christy, Laura, Barbara, Penny, Vancouver, Washington. MJ, Kara, I never forget your hyphen K. Kara, um, Denise. Oh, there goes Moby. My dog is barking. Can you hear Moby? Maybe I can get him in here and you can say hi to him. Mary, Linda, Soul Rose, Jean, Aubrey, last another human rights lawyer, Alex Nev, Dawn, Catherine, Susan. Okay, we're gonna do a countdown in a minute. Will F. I can't see if my chief of staff is on. My de facto Team Justice chief of staff. Aubrey's counting us down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's a new one, Aubrey. All right. Well, I don't know if Kathleen Zaya is with us or not, but I'm going to start by showing you a picture she just sent me. She's a stone cold justice warrior. She's a beast. She's out there. She's here. Figment says she's here. There's Kathleen. She's here, and she's sitting on a heating pad. Now I'm giving you more information that she might want me to disclose. Why? Because she was out protesting her butt off, which she has been doing for not just years, but I think decades. And she sent me a picture. I should go 3, 2, 1 and get started, right? I've seen a bunch of folks count me down. So let's go. 3, 2, 1. Happy Saturday night, friends. I had to crack open a Modelo. I don't think there's a rule against like drinking and doing legal analysis. Don't drink and analyze. I haven't heard that. So cheers to everybody on this Saturday night. So I want to show you all Kathleen Zaya. Here she is. Can you see that? Justice Matters. And she's wearing her signature hat that she made. She actually has a merch shop. It says, "Only you can prevent truth decay." Kathleen is a beast, a justice warrior who she probably can't count how many times she has protested in front of Trump Towers or in front of Fox headquarters in New York. But Kathleen is a beast. I so admire her. And she is my right-hand person in all things Justice Matters. And I couldn't appreciate her more. Okay, we've got a lot. We've got a lot of legal stories to cover, so we're going to try to move through them rapidly so we can at least touch on all of them, or as many as I can in the half an hour that we have here. Um, First of all, you probably heard new developments in the Letitia James attempted dirty indictment case, right? Um, there is no evidence that Tish James, New York State Attorney General, committed mortgage fraud. None, zero. Everything that's been publicly reported says there is no case. So Donald Trump was complaining that the U.S. attorney in the office that's investigating it, the Eastern District of Virginia, was dragging his feet, refusing to indict her. He's got to go. His name is Eric Siebert. By all accounts, he's pretty much a straight shooter. And he said, okay, the president wants me to go. Bye-bye, I resign. Trump then said, no, I fired him. No, he resigned. Don, come on now. Nobody believes your garbage anymore. He resigned. So Donald Trump found somebody who he is hoping will be a flunky, somebody he is hoping will be ethics free, somebody he is hoping will bring a baseless vindictive prosecution against Letitia James. Open question as to whether this person will or not. Her name is Mary Cleary. She goes by Maggie, apparently. Republican activist. She was a prosecutor in a local prosecutor's office here in Culpeper, Virginia, for a period of time. She was also briefly a federal prosecutor at the Western District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office. That's down in Charlottesville. That's where the main office is, just off the campus of the University of Virginia. And she is a kind of Republican activist, the reporting says. And what's perhaps most interesting about this person is she claims that she was framed and wrongfully accused of being at the Capitol on January 6th. And if you read the Politico article about her, it links to a bio that an op-ed that she wrote claiming that somebody tried to frame her and claimed that she was at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. I clicked on the link. I read the op-ed. It was published in something called Spectator Australia, I think. And this is what this person, Mary Cleary, says. Somebody apparently sent a picture to the FBI of a woman who was at the Capitol at January 6th, and that woman was mistaken for this Mary Cleary person. So, she got a knock and talk from the FBI. They interviewed her. She made clear she wasn't at the Capitol that day and apparently had the goods to back it up. And the matter was cleared. That's it. That was pretty much it. And when you read her op-ed that she wrote about this, what does she say? I know what it's like when they try to weaponize the government against you. And now that Donald Trump is in office, I feel comfortable speaking out about how they tried to frame me by weaponizing the government. And I'm ready to go, Mr. President. I'm taking liberties with the exact language. I urge you to read her op-ed. So here's the thing. When you read through the account, now, mind you, I don't know if this account is accurate or corroborated. This is apparently what she wrote. Maybe it's 100% accurate. I don't know. Maybe it's not. It doesn't sound like government was weaponized against you. It sounded like this was a legitimate law enforcement investigative step where there was a picture that reportedly somebody indicated looked like you or was you. They investigated, they cleared you because it wasn't you, and that was that. That's kind of the opposite of what Donald Trump is doing, insisting that somebody's just got to indict Letitia James. It doesn't matter that she committed no crime. In fact, Donald Trump is quoted as saying, well, she must have done something. That's a Trump quote. So we will now see how Mary Cleary does. Will she be willing? And let me tell you, friends, the reporting is that when Eric Siebert, the outgoing U.S. attorney who resigned because he apparently took his ethics and his oath of loyalty to the rule of law and the Constitution seriously, there were reports that, people were just crying at the Eastern District of Virginia, New York, Eastern District of Virginia U.S. Attorney's Office because they were devastated that he was leaving. Interesting. Sounds like he was well regarded, and obviously he was ethical and honorable, not willing to indict Letitia James just because Donald Trump demanded he do it. So when you're stepping into that position and those circumstances, are you really going to be the one to say, I don't care if there's no evidence that she committed a crime. I don't care if we don't have enough to indict. I don't care if I don't have proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm going to indict her because Donald Trump tells me to. Boy, if she does, she'll be heading off to bar council for an ethics investigation, I suspect. So we'll see how that develops. In a related story, friends, before I move on to the next story, did you see what Donald Trump posted just moments ago? It's interesting because it actually looks like he may have meant to send a DM, a private message to Pam Bondi, but maybe he inadvertently published it publicly. Did you all read this? Listen to this. I sent a picture of it to my computer here. Listen to what Donald Trump just posted. It starts out, Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, quote, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then, this is what Trump is saying, then we almost put a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. This sounds like Eric Siebert, who just resigned because he wouldn't indict Tish James. Sounds like that's who Trump is talking about. Trump continues. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case against Letitia James. No, I fired him, and there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. And then Trump says this, which I don't even understand. Lindsey is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and our credibility. This is not the thing Donald Trump ordinarily publishes for general consumption, posts on his little social media platform with those little fingers and hands that he has. He would never say something like, this is killing our reputation and our credibility. Doesn't it read? I know it's weird, Natasha saying, does it? Yeah, what credibility? That's exactly what I thought. Who just said that? Marie. This sounds like a DM, intended as a DM for Pam Bondi. Then he concludes by saying, they impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Signs it, President DJT. That's not usually, thank you for your attention to this matter, right? I think this was supposed to be a DM because there's things in there that don't make any sense. Not that Donald Trump's public posts make sense much of the time, but Lindsey is a really good lawyer and he likes you, speaking to Pam, a lot. You don't put that if you're intending to disseminate it to the general public that Lindsey is a good lawyer and he likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. I'll tell you, friends, Donald Trump is losing it. Donald Trump is desperate. Donald Trump is weakening by the day. I believe that. He may think he's big and bad and strong and all powerful. He ain't. And he's getting weaker by the day. But maybe there will be more info to come about whatever the hell that was. Okay, let's move on to another story. you see Governor Newsom signed a bill today? Did you see this? He outlawed, criminalized the wearing of masks by ICE agents in his state. That ain't bad, right? He said, oh, hell no, I'm going to be protecting the people of my state. And he signed into law a bill that outlaws the wearing of masks by federal agents. Federal agents have to identify themselves. They have to have an insignia saying what unit, what organization they're with, and they can't mask up anymore. That is now the law in California. You got to love Governor Newsom. You know, he's fighting. He is fighting. So, let me tell you this, friends. Law enforcement officers and agents masking up is a public safety issue, because what does it do? It gives leeway to anybody who wants to pretend to be a police officer, strap a sidearm on your hip and put a mask on your face. Now look at me, I'm a cop. They can't tell the difference. That's an effing public safety issue. And frankly, it's a public safety issue for the officers as much as for the people. So Newsom signed that bill. He also signed, I think he signed 5 bills today, one that limits ICE's ability to do any enforcement in schools or hospitals. And here's what Newsom said: public safety depends on trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. But Trump and Stephen Miller have shattered that trust and spread fear across America. California is putting an end to it and making sure schools and hospitals remain what they should be: places of care, not chaos. Places of care, not chaos. So, hello, Daniel. Hello. I see all my more of my friends, my Team Justice friends, or hello, Paul, are signing on. So, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Anybody, when it comes to this state law prohibiting ICE agents from masking up? You know what's coming, right? I'm just watching to see if anybody gets it. Supremacy Clause challenge. That's what's coming. So let's talk about the Supremacy Clause. No doubt the Trump administration will probably file suit to try to put a stop to California's mask ban for federal officers and agents. So they will probably claim, this is my suspicion, they will probably claim there is a Supremacy Clause problem with this California law. I hope y'all are sharing an adult beverage with me, or a beverage of your choice. Doesn't have to be adult. So the Supremacy Clause in the Constitution essentially says that the federal Constitution and federal laws shall be the Supreme Court of the land. What does that mean? It means that if a federal law conflicts with a state law, the federal law wins. It is supreme, courtesy of the Constitution's Supremacy Clause. But guess what? There is no federal law that says ICE officials shall wear masks when they are policing the streets, or, operating in the streets, or engaged in law enforcement. So there is no law that the California law conflicts with, right? So I don't think, now that is a very rudimentary analysis, maybe because of the Modelo. No. But what I believe the Trump administration will try to claim is that, well, it violates the spirit of the Constitution because federal law enforcement officials have rules and regulations and what we call general orders that they must abide by. And I have a feeling that none of those address whether officers should be masked in public. Some may, but I don't think so. But rules and procedures and policies are very different from federal statutes, which would give rise to a supremacy clause challenge. So I love what Newsom did. My early take is that if litigation is brought by the Trump administration to try to invalidate this law, and I can't believe they won't try to sue, Newsom's lawyers, his attorney general, will have the better of the arguments. And hopefully the mask ban will stand, will be affirmed by the courts. Newsom, I believe, said that the new law would go into effect on January 1st. So that gives them a few months to litigate it through the courts and see how it plays out. But that was a good news development. This is another good news development. And I can't for the life of me, friends, remember. Maybe somebody can drop me a note real quick. Did we already talk about the federal court judge throwing out the New York Times $11 billion lawsuit that Trump filed against the Times claiming defamation? Did we talk about that either, I guess last night it would have had to have been? I'm looking, we did. Okay, we did. I'm not going to go back through that then. I don't want to repeat myself. But I did love the language that the judge used to, let's call it what it is, mock Donald Trump, mocked him, just mocked him up and down. And the judge will say, no, I was just using examples to show how frivolous the complaint, that is the document that you filed to get the lawsuit going, how frivolous and improper the complaint was. Yeah, but you were mocking them pretty good, Judge, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And as I mentioned last night, I'm sure it was a judge appointed by George H.W. Bush. So, probably not a rabid, angry Democrat, lunatic liberal, as Donald Trump likes to call the judges. And then the other thing I just want to kind of put a bug in your ear about, friends, is I had a long conversation with a military law expert, law of war expert, constitutional law professor, and expert named Dan Maurer. I don't think I mentioned this previously, and I just posted on my YouTube channel part one of what will be a three-part series. We broke our conversation into three separate topics, and I would love for people to give these a watch and blast them out far and wide, not because I want you to publicize my channel, but because Dan Maurer does a real deep dive analysis about how and why these repeated deadly strikes on Venezuelans who are in international waters, how they are criminal, how they do not comport with civilian law, international law, or the law of war, and how they are murder. This is Donald Trump murdering Venezuelans in international waters. And in normal times, Donald Trump and anybody in the military chain of command who obeyed that unlawful order to murder Venezuelans should be prosecuted and held accountable. Trump, he makes it like it's a video game. It's like, hey, I'm the president. I'm going to post videos of us killing Venezuelans. Look at me. That is so fucking depraved. And it doesn't matter that he labels them suspected drug smugglers or narco terror. It doesn't matter. There is no legal justification under any doctrine, civilian law, military law, law of war, international law, no justification that would make it lawful. It's murder. It's an unlawful homicide. So Dan Maurer and I talked through this. He is an expert. He taught con law and criminal law at West Point. He taught at the Army's Judge Advocate General School on the campus of the University of Virginia. Both he and I attended it, although I went many years before him. I've got him by probably a decade or more. He is now a law professor at the Ohio Northern University Claude Petit College of Law. I hope I got that right. I don't have the bio in front of me at the moment. And he's a wonderful teacher. You could tell by the way he took the audience through the three topics. We started with the murder on the high seas, which is what tonight's Justice Matters video is titled, that I just posted on YouTube before I jumped on with you all. Murder on the High Seas. Tomorrow's part two of our conversation will involve the legalities surrounding the militarization of the streets of America. And then part three, I don't know if we talked about this last night. I don't think we did. Hello, Marilyn. I'm seeing notes that are popping up saying hi. Lee said he saw part one. Good, Lee. I hope you were as impressed with Dan Maurer as I was. And so part three is this new practice that has just cropped up that is pretty damn upsetting. Hope you all don't mind that I'm doing a beer on at our community meeting. We need to have like community barbecues and whatnot, right? We got to do that. I'm serious. We got to find a way to do that. Part three is the relatively new practice of the military leadership scrutinizing social media posts of our military members, our soldiers, our sailors, our Marines, our guardsmen, our Coast Guards, our airmen in the Air Force, scrutinizing social media posts to see if they said anything about Charlie Kirk that would upset dear leader Donald Trump, or that might upset Pete Hegseth. And what they're doing, friends, is they're using that as a pretext, as an excuse to remove people from their positions, to punish them, to sanction them if they are, at bottom line, too woke. And there is a horrific story that I need to follow up on. I need to drill down on first and make sure I can absorb all the reporting. But Dan told me about this. The Staff Judge Advocate. The Staff Judge Advocate, the SJA, is the top lawyer in a particular military unit. For example, when I was in the Army active duty, my first assignment was up to Anchorage, Alaska, Fort Richardson, which at that time housed the 6th Infantry Division, Arctic Light. It was an Arctic Light Army division. And so that division, that military division, had a staff judge advocate, kind of like almost like the attorney general or the U.S. attorney, the top lawyer for the entire division. So it's a very prestigious job. I mean, that's kind of like you're almost like a state attorney general. Every division or major unit will have a staff judge advocate. So the 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, I believe, the storied 101st Airborne Division, had a woman who was the staff judge advocate. I don't have her name on the tip of my tongue. Dan Maurer was telling me about her, who was the top lawyer for the 101st Airborne Division. I mean, hardcore military folk, fearless. And this woman, the staff judge advocate, was universally highly regarded, according to Dan, well on her way to being a flag officer, a general officer, because of how she had performed. She's married to another active duty Army officer. They have served in combat tours. I mean, these are very dedicated, high-speed military members, officers. And she posted something on Facebook that referenced, I guess, didn't even mention Charlie Kirk, but said something about the, current circumstance. And it's interesting that there have been other assassinations that didn't garner as much attention. And then she said something like, Facebook has become really toxic, and I've decided to leave Facebook. That is what she reportedly posted, some version of that. And the Trump administration used that social media post to pull her out of her job as the top lawyer for the 101st Airborne Division. No words. Talk about corrosive to good order and discipline and morale. It's when you do that, when guys like Pete Hegseth do that to members of the military who have sacrificed so much for so long for all of us. See the steam coming from my head, right? That is part 3 of the 3-part interview that I did with Dan Maurer. The corporate media, legacy media, doesn't seem to want to pay attention or, you know, promote these stories. Make sure people understand the danger and the damage that's being done to our fellow Americans, to the security of our country, to the morale of the military. So I would hope that if you can watch these 3 videos, this 3-part series, if you think it's useful, please push it out there, because people need to know what the hell's going on and how our military members are being badly, badly mistreated by Hegseth and Trump and company. And that's something we'll talk more about in the days to come. All right, everybody. I didn't even make it through my whole Modelo, but I hope you made it through whatever you all are drinking. But thank you for jumping on a Saturday night. Got to watch some football tomorrow, or the sport of your choice, or the activity of your choice. Take some time tomorrow to engage in self-care in whatever way you feel you need it or want it, because we've got a long fight ahead of us. Donald Trump is trying to race us right to the bottom, but we've got a long fight ahead of us. But as I always say, I think we're up to the challenge. We are a people who have defied kings previously, and here we are needing to defy a king again, and we will. We will. All right, everybody. Great seeing you all. I look forward. Oh, tomorrow night is our Q&A, our Sunday night Q&A. I'll post something in the morning inviting you to respond with your question. I'll go through the questions during the course of the day and try to answer the ones that are most frequently asked. I'll try to answer all of them if I can. So please keep an eye out for a post from me soliciting your questions for tomorrow night's community meeting, which will be our Q&A session. All right? Have a great Saturday night. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.